दोस्तों, क्या आप भी वर्क प्रोडक्ट सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं? क्या आपकी पेमेंट भी माइलस्टोन के हिसाब से आती है, जहां पे कि पहली पेमेंट एडवांस के अगेंस्ट आती हो? तो दोस्तों, यह वीडियो आपके लिए काफी यूजफुल है और मैं आग्रह करूंगा इस वीडियो को अंत तक देखें। नमस्कार, मैं आपका दोस्त सीए पंकज गोयल आज आपके समक्ष एक बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जजमेंट लेके आया हूं। दोस्तों, दिस हैज बीन सीन फ्रॉम द सर्विस टैक्स regime that a person, especially the person who are providing the work contract services, if I may say, this problem is more prominent in the government contracts, wherein the government always gives, or the contractee always gives to the contractor mobilization advance. Mobilization advance एक कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को उसकी वर्किंग कैपिटल पूरी करने के लिए दिया जाता है, जिससे कि वो अपने साजो सामान को मूव कर सके फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू द प्लेस फ्रॉम एट वेयर द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैज टू बी अंडरटेकन। तो इसी दिशा में what used to happen since service tax days, right from 2011, when the liability to pay service tax was casted upon the service provider on the accrual basis instead of on the payment basis, जो भी एडवांस उस सर्विस प्रोवाइडर को मिलता था, the service provider was obliged to discharge the service tax liability. Now this part was very clear and very easy to understand. हाँ, आपने बिल करा है तो आपको पेमेंट करनी पड़ेगी सर्विस टैक्स की। इसके साथ एक सवाल ये उठता है कि यदि एक कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने बैक टू बैक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को दिया हुआ है और जो टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन उस कॉन्ट्रैक्टर की अपने कस्टमर के साथ है और वही टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के साथ है, मीनिंग देयर बाय द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर इज अलाउड और इज एलिजिबल और एंटाइटल्ड टू पे द मोबिलाइजेशन एडवांस टू सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ऑल्सो। सो सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने एडवांस की इनवॉइस सेल्स करी मेन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर पे, जीएसटी चार्ज करा उसके ऊपर क्योंकि उसने पेमेंट करी है। Now the fact or the question arises is whether the contractor will be eligible to claim the ITC of that GST paid on the mobilization advance or not. Friends, this issue gains prominence because the underlying contracts goes into multiple thousand crore figures, wherein a small impact or a small mobilization advances, the GST thereupon is culminated into a cash flow problem to the subcontractor or a contractor in the absence of any ITC thereof. So this was the main crux of the issue which I have summarized. Now let us see कि ITC को मना करने के लिए what was the reason which was denying the ITC to that contractor. So दोस्तों, what has happened, as you are aware that section 7 of the CGST Act governs the taxability of a particular transaction, and the timing to pay the GST has been prescribed or described under section 13, which is the time of supply provision under the CGST Act. जो भी हमारे provision GST के हैं, they say that especially in the case of provision supply of services, जो GST पे होना है that will be earliest of the date of receipt of payment or the provision of services whichever is earlier, right? So जैसे ही सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने यहाँ पे इनवॉइस रेज करी एडवांस की, he was obliged to pay the GST, उसने पे करा। Now coming to the contractor side, what are the provisions which are providing or which are holding back that contractor to avail the ITC? तो दोस्तों, इस दिशा में मैं आपको ले चलता हूँ सेक्शन 16 पे। सेक्शन 16 जो कि एक अम्ब्रेला सेक्शन है to govern the eligibility of ITC to a service provider. सेक्शन 16(1) कहता है, let me read from the statute. सेक्शन 16(1) कहता है, every registered person shall subject to such condition blah blah and be entitled to take credit of input tax charged on any supply of goods or services or both to him. This is very, very important, which I am just going to say, which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of his business, and the said amount shall be credited to electronic credit ledger of such person. What is the meaning of this small paragraph or one line which I have highlighted? It means to say that any supply on which a service provider is entitling or is intending to take the ITC, that supply should have been used for furtherance of his business or should have been intended to be used for the furtherance of his business. मतलब या तो वो उसमें यूज हो चुकी हो या जो ITC जो रिसिपिएंट है उसको इंटेंड करता हो कि वो अपने बिजनेस में कंसिडर करेगा। दिस वाज द फर्स्ट वन। नाउ कमिंग टू द सेक्शन 16(2), which provides certain conditions which are to be satisfied by a recipient before taking a credit of any supply. वहां पे हमारा there are multiple clauses into section 2, section 16 subsection 2, of which clause A and clause B are of interest to us. क्लॉज ए कहता है कि अ रिसिपिएंट वुड नॉट बी एंटाइटल्ड टू द क्रेडिट अनलेस ए इज ही इज इन पोजीशन ऑफ अ टैक्स इनवॉइस और a debit note issued by the supplier registered under the act or such other tax paying document as may be prescribed, and the B says he has received the goods or services or both. Now friends, here if we see the clause number A, it says that the service recipient is entitled to claim the credit on the strength of the tax invoice or any other document as may be prescribed. The moment the word prescription came, you know that then we have to refer to the CGST rule. Or in fact, before that, I will advert to section 31, which provides type of document to be issued in case of receipt of advance by a service provider from a service recipient. Section 31, subsection 1, clause D, वो कहता है कि जहां पे भी आपको एडवांस मिलेगा वहां पे जो सप्लायर है ही हैज टू इश्यू अ रिसीट वाउचर, एडवांस रिसीट वाउचर। एडवांस रिसीट वाउचर को सीजीएसटी रूल्स के अंदर दे हैव प्रेस्क्राइब्ड अ नंबर ऑफ रिक्वायरमेंट्स व्हिच हैव टू बी देयर ऑन अ पर्टिकुलर डॉक्यूमेंट टू बी ट्रीटेड एज द एडवांस रिसीट वाउचर, जिसमें जो प्रोमिनेंट है दैट आर टाइप ऑफ सप्लाई, उसमें क्या रेट है, क्या उसमें एसएलसी कोड है एंड ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला। सो फार सो गुड। वेंडर जिसने जो सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जिसको एडवांस मिला उसने रिसीट वाउचर इश्यू करा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को और टैक्स जमा करा दिया। कमिंग टू बी, क्रेडिट तभी मिलेगा जब सर्विस रिसीव हुई हो। नाउ दोस्त, यहाँ पे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि दिस इज नथिंग बट द एडवांस। एडवांस मतलब पेमेंट अभी एडवांस में मिल गई है पेंडिंग द सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस। दैट मीन्स कि पेंडिंग जब सप्लाई मुझे रिसीव नहीं है तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ क्रेडिट इट इज। These kind of conditions were already there in the service tax and has been grandfathered to the CGST regime. So this question came before the Bombay High Court. In fact, I would congratulate the counsels who have argued the case, because the manner in which they argued is the counsels argued that in fact when I have paid the taxes in the form of receipt of voucher, the advance receipt voucher, and as per the Constitution of India, Article 356A, the GST has to be paid on the supply of services. So, if the services are not being supplied, then what kind of tax are you asking for? They have challenged the wires of Section 7, Section 13, Section 16 and Section 31. In a nutshell, उनका कहना ये था कि क्योंकि सर्विस ही सप्लाई नहीं हुई है तो आप टैक्स नहीं मांग सकते, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, वो कहते हैं कि दे हैव टेकन अ शेल्टर ऑफ द एग्रीमेंट। वो कहते हैं कि उन्होंने टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज कर रखी थी कि दिस एडवांस कैन बी ट्रीटेड एज ए लोन which has been given by the recipient to the service provider. So the condition or the argument of the counsel was since this is a loan, इसीलिए जो भी क्योंकि लोन के ऊपर it is not covered under the GST regime or the GST at all. So whatever statutory provisions are there for GST would not be applicable in this transaction. The Bombay High Court has rightly discussed the entire gamut of the issue threadbare, and few of the conclusions that they gave are very important, which I am just going to discuss. Right? The first thing which the High Court said that they distinguish or they define what is the difference between advance and the loan. The fine line of the difference between advance and loan, which the High Court mentioned, is that if a consideration is adjustable against the future supply of services, means the consideration for the services, then it cannot take the character of a loan. It will continue to be the advance for supply of services. So they concluded that whatever the subcontractor has received, it is nothing but the advance towards future supply of services. Then the next important term that they clarify is the meaning of in the course of furtherance of business. The court took the benefit or referred to the past central sales tax and income tax judgment, and they said that anything which is integrally connected to the carrying of a business and has some relationship with that business would be treated as in the course of furtherance of that business or not. The third thing which then the court adverted to is the challenge to the wires of Section 7, 13 and 31 insofar as the levy of GST and advances is concerned. The court mentions that, or the court said that since the GST is applicable on the supply of goods or services or both, the timing thereof is prescribed by time of supply provision as enunciated under Section 13 of the CGST Act. The court mentioned that there is nothing which is ultra vires the law, since the parliament or the government which has levied GST is in very much right of levying that GST as they have in unambiguous manner disclose the person to be what has to be charged, how much it has to be charged, when it has to be charged, and on whom it has to be charged. So these are 3 or 4 parameters which are being prevalent or which are being enunciated by the Supreme Court in previous judgments, and which are often used by the high courts in analyzing whether a particular statute is ultra vires the law or not. So they concluded that the levy of GST on advances is perfectly within the frame of the law. Now coming to the last part, whether the contractor would be entitled to the ITC or not. Here the court analyzed that look, we have to consider section 16, section 31 and rule 36 of the CGST rule in a coherent manner. We cannot consider them in isolation to say that or to arrive at a conclusion that the ITC is not available. The court said that section 16 allows the ITC on any supply which is intended to be used for furtherance of business, meaning thereby even if the supply has to be received in future, the ITC could be allowed, right? The charging section says that the tax has to be paid on services or supplies provided or to be provided. So from here the GST on advances have been held to be intra-vires, not ultra-vires. The third thing, the court said that section 31 provides the receipt voucher which has been issued by the service provider to the recipient as a proof that the GST on that transaction has been discharged to the government exchequer. Rule 36 of the CGST rule, which prescribes the documents, the valid documents on which ITC can be availed, is characterized by the absence of the term advance receipt voucher. मतलब रूल 36 के हिसाब से हम एडवांस रिसीट वाउचर के ऊपर टैक्स का क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकते. But again, then High Court read down the legal provisions, statutory provisions, and held that after having the coherent view of all the section in the rules, since the tax has been paid, the tax is valid payable on the advance, and the ITC can be availed on the supplies which is used in the furtherance of business, intended to be used in furtherance of business. The receipt voucher, advance receipt voucher on which tax has been paid on advances is a valid document for availment of ITC. So in all such kind of big projects wherein the question whether the ITC is available on advances or not has been settled by the Bombay High Court in the favor of FSC, and unambiguously they have mentioned that the ITC would be available. So friends, I suggest to take help of this judgment and take benefit of this judgment in the line of business that you are having, and take the benefit of availing the ITC on the advances. Hope you will find the discussion useful and beneficial. Thank you. Namaskar.